Now, as we wrap up the accessories category here on CMA Networks, we would be remiss if we actually didn't talk about one of the most important accessories in your shop. That's right, we're talking about things like wiring and other accessories that help with your installation. You know the old saying, the system is only as strong as its weakest link, and often I see shops overlook this element. Well, Stinger has been in this game for quite some time, and we're going to remind you just why Stinger dominates when it comes to accessories. This is CMA Connected, brought to you by Sirius XM, all about Stinger, and it starts now. What's going on, and welcome to another CMA Connected, brought to you by Sirius XM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. We're talking Stinger accessories with a familiar face, but maybe wearing a different shirt. That's right, we've got our good friend Matthew Palumbo joining us today, and we're going to remind you guys out there just why Stinger is the authority when it comes to accessories. Matt, give me a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about today.
Absolutely, Ben. I mean, when it comes to aftermarket audio, there really isn't anything that is quite as important as quality wiring. Whether we're doing a basic budget, just add some bass type upgrade, or a full blown SQ purist sound system for the enthusiast, Stinger offers wiring for all of that. We even have wiring for, ATVs and side by sides and marine. We really offer it all, whether it's a pre made kit or off the spool wire. We have all the wire a dealer could need, and we really try to keep the dealer in mind when we're designing these products.
Matt, I'm excited to geek out with you on wiring and more. But first, an opportunity for our partner, Sirius XM, to remind our dealers out there why it's always a great add on sale. And when we come back, we've got Matthew Palumbo from Stinger. Don't you dare go away.
Hi, Paul Truman here with Sirius XM. We reached out to some of our partners in the industry, and here's what they had to say.
I can't say more or enough about just what it means to have our unit working with Sirius XM. It's like we're there now.
The Sirius XM service is something consumers want, right? So it's Paul.
That allows a consumer to listen to either podcasts, entertainment, sports, all at their fingertips. It's all about engagement, and that's what Sirius XM provides.
SiriusXM is a huge component in a vehicle nowadays. Consumers expect that technology to be available both in our OEM system as well as the aftermarket upgrades that they're applying to their vehicle.
Alpine and SiriusXM, through our electronics, are able to offer the consumer on the aftermarket side SiriusXM 360L, which is an expanded platform for SiriusXM. And it's really been a beneficial relationship for us with SiriusXM.
As a dealer, just remember, we don't compete with anybody else. We are absolutely one of the best profitability accessories you can add to any head unit that is SiriusXM ready.
All right, welcome back to CMA Connected, brought to you by Sirius XM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Of course, we're talking about Stinger in the accessory category. Now, Matt, I got to be upfront with you. Wiring has always been a point of contention with me. I get frustrated when I see shops or installers not take this seriously. Too often have I seen a failure point being something that was easily avoided. And what really irks me is when dealers and shops don't put in front the value of said components when selling a system to a customer. You know, the enthusiast, the customers coming in, they're spending big money on components, but it's only as strong as its weakest link, and I truly believe in that statement.
I couldn't agree more, Ben. It's so sad to see a high quality system full of great components and gear get installed with poor quality wiring. And that's why at Stinger, we definitely try to put forth our best effort and offer some of the best wiring in the business. We have everything from, premium quality RCA cables and, power wiring, of course, but we have some really unique products too. Things like our X-Link fuse holder and distribution blocks and battery clamps. We have just about everything the dealer could need to not only complete the install, but do it right and do it right the first time using high quality components with unique features that not only get the job done, but make it look pretty and make it perform to its absolute best potential.
I know what you're thinking. How much can we have a conversation about wiring? I've been doing installs for 30 years. Wire is wire is wire is wire. Well, I'll tell you, this is not the case. Stinger has found a way to learn over the years to optimize the performance of these cables for several reasons. Of course, performance is always going to be a top priority, but also installability and longevity. So let's get into wiring. I think I want to talk about the good, better, best scenario. So this achieves two things, Matt. Number one, it gives us a better understanding of the breakout of the products. So maybe a good, better, best scenario I could suggest. And more so than that, some of the cool features that honestly are pretty unique to Stinger.
So yeah, when it comes to all this wiring, Ben, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. We could talk for hours about wiring. I don't know how interesting that would be, but it could be done. In the Stinger family of wiring, though, we really have two main lines in the catalog. We have the 4000 and the 6000 series. These are going to be great amp kits and wiring kits and accessories, RCA cables, etc., for your everyday installs where they need top quality products and parts, and they want nice stuff, but maybe they're not quite looking to go to that enthusiast level. Now, for those of you that are looking to go to that top tier enthusiast level, we go to Stinger X. Stinger X is our top of the line wiring and accessories. And one of my favorite pieces that's included in the Stinger X kits is called the X-Link. X-Link is a really cool product. It's a fuse holder, it can be a distribution block, it can be a power distribution or ground distribution, and they actually link together. So the neat thing is, say you're doing an install that needs three ANL fuse holders, you can use the X-Link as an ANL fuse holder. It can be a mini ANL fuse holder, whatever you need, and you can actually link them next to each other side by side. They'll never be crooked, they'll mount beautifully, and it just makes the install so much cleaner and nicer, as well as ensuring that we get the best power delivery and transfer of power from the battery or power source all the way through to the amplifier. The X-Link is second to none. It's a really cool, unique product. And again, that's found in all the Stinger X kits. Those Stinger X kits also kind of have a good, better, best. So there's X1, X2, and X3. X3 is going to be for our absolute top of the line sound quality enthusiast. They're going to be a little bit thicker as far as the RCA cables go, but these are also going to be your really nice jacketed cables. They've got a really nice heavy duty connector on them. They've got a unique gripping system that actually grips the outer chassis of the RCA, that outer barrel. And they're a unique jacketed cable as well. In the X2, we step down a little bit, more of a rubbery cable instead of that cloth wrapped. Still a really nice connector, has a unique grasping system for that outer barrel of the RCA. And the X1s are awesome cables as well. Again, remember, even though these would be the good of Stinger X, these are still a top of the line cable in the car audio world. X1 series are the blue and gray twisted pair. They're kind of a clear jacket, and a lot of enthusiasts like these because they're fairly flat. So they lay really nicely under the carpet. They're not bulky, and all of those different cables I just talked about are available in multiple channels. So you don't have to just run multiple sets of 2-channel cables. We can get a 2-channel, 4-channel, 6-channel RCA cable, run one cable, and do everything we need it to do. So Stinger X is really where it's at, if you ask me.
All right, thank you, Matt, for breaking that all down. Hardcore like me, make sure you take a look at the X line. That is definitely the way to go. It's got great terminal connectors, twisted paired, the right coating, the right jackets, you name it. This is the one that you should be looking at for your customer. All right, we've got a cool menu of different accessories to go over today, Matt. The next one is really unique. And for those that don't or are not aware of it, here's your chance to learn about it, because obviously lighting is growing in popularity. Everybody wants lighting to accent their sound, their vehicle. But Stinger has an interesting solution when it comes to lighting control, and it's called Enlighten.
Yeah, Ben. So the cool thing about Enlighten is it's a whole ecosystem of products. These are dynamic RGB LED products that can be added to virtually any vehicle. And what's neat to me is there's a few key things about Enlighten that make them special. One is how we control them. We control Enlighten through 3 different methods. You can control it from a cell phone app. And of course, when you pull out your smartphone and have the Enlighten app, it's pretty cool because it's our own app. It's not some third-party generic app that you hate handing over to your customer because it feels a little cheesy, and a lot of them do. The Stinger Lighting app was designed by us for our products, and it's easy to use. It's got a great user interface, and it has all the features that customers have come to expect. You also have a wireless remote control, which is simple. It gives you some more advanced control than the basics, but it's not going to be as full featured, of course, as the smartphone app. And then for basic control, and actually my favorite way to control them, you can control your Enlighten lighting from your High 10 head unit if you have the Stinger High 10. The Stinger High 10 can control all of the Enlighten lighting through our little RGB control module. It's a tiny little black box, plugs in behind the head unit, and gives us control of all of these RGB lights. Now, the really neat thing about this, though, from an installer's perspective is, RGB lighting is nothing new, let's face it. It's been around for a while. There's lots of companies doing lighting, but the way we do it, I think, is a little bit different. All of the Enlighten products have an input and an output. So take, for example, this little Enlighten RGB rock light. This can be used for all sorts of applications. Of course, they're great as rock lights, which is usually in the fender wells of a vehicle, but they're also cool just to use as underglow or under vehicle lighting. I personally use them as under dash lighting or in the bed of a truck, anywhere you want to highlight a sound system or just have some extra light. These rock lights are an awesome way to do it. They're much easier to mount than a lot of other solutions. But my favorite thing from an install perspective is how they wire up. With traditional RGB lighting, you're always running 3 to 5 wires to every single light in the vehicle from a central controller. With our lighting and Enlighten, we have one controller with 2 outputs. Each of those outputs can control 1,000 LEDs. So that means we can take these rock lights and they all just have an input and an output. So rather than having to go from your control module to every single light in the vehicle, you're just going out to your first 2 lights and then daisy chaining off of that. In the Enlighten family, we have rock lights in a 4-piece kit, an 8-piece kit, a 4-piece add-on kit. You can pretty much make whatever you want. We also have great things like the strip lights. These are the RGB strips. Now, of course, these are going to come in a predetermined length with the ends on them, but you can also cut them to length. Maybe you're wondering, though, once I cut them, how do I have an input and an output? Well, that's why we sell these great little pieces here where you can actually solder on your own connectors. And now you have an input and output no matter how many times you cut up that strip. We have Y adapters. We have all the different accessories that you could need to make this Enlighten system work for your vehicle. It's pretty cool, and they're dynamic RGB LED lights. If you don't know what that means, make sure to check out some of our videos and stuff on the website, and you can actually see videos of these working and see how the light actually flows through from one end to the other. We can do all sorts of dynamic chase patterns, flashing to the music, flowing lights, you name it, these lights can do it.
You know, when you got to give credit, you got to give credit. And that Enlighten system, I mean, the very fact that you can daisy chain, I literally was just going over in my head the PTSD I have of running so many 4-channel wires throughout a vehicle the last time I did lighting. Man, that is a great solution. All right, we're going to segue to our final cool piece from Stinger. If you ever wanted to, add accessories and have a really sweet, solid way of switching between them, well, it's called SwitchHub, and I'm sure Matthew's got one to show.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. The SwitchHub is a really unique piece of gear. It's a cool product, and it does so much and can be so universally used. The SwitchHub basically is a solid state 4-channel relay. So what this little guy does is allow you to just feed in one heavy gauge power input, and then you have 4 reasonably heavy gauge power outputs. So the cool thing about the SwitchHub is it has all these little small inputs on either end of the product, and these can be used to trigger those accessories. So whether that's light bars, rock lights, puddle lamps, amplifiers, I mean, you could literally trigger anything 12 volt with this. And what's nice is you can trigger it with either a positive or negative input. So if you happen to have a head unit that has an output from it that provides maybe a low amperage ground output or 12 volt turn on output, something like that, or whether you just want to use a small, rocker switch or toggle switch, something like that. Maybe it's from a security system. Maybe it's from one of our SPX series all-weather head units. Whatever the case may be, you can use that to control the SwitchHub. So you're feeding one heavy gauge power input, and then you have power delivered out to all those accessories for you, and you can turn them on and off however you like. It's a really cool piece of gear, and it's so much cleaner than putting in a bunch of switches, a bunch of relays, and all the stuff that goes with that. This is a much cleaner solution. And the nice thing is with the SwitchHub, it is a product that can be located kind of remotely. So let's say you have a bunch of rock lights and light bars and a winch or something like that you want to supply power to. You could put the SwitchHub near those accessories, but have the switches be inside the vehicle, of course. And now you are essentially remotely controlling those using just very light gauge, small wires. So you don't have to run heavy gauge wires to all your switches. You don't have to put in a bunch of Bosch relays. You can do it all with the SwitchHub. It's a really cool piece of tech.
And that was Stinger Solutions' Matthew Palumbo joining us for really a technical sesh here about some cool items from Stinger that are going to help your installs, that are going to be a must-have in the install bay, and maybe some units you didn't know about, like that cool SwitchHub he just talked about. All right, so if you want any more information on any of the products covered on today's show, make sure you hit up the website. We'll put it on the screen right now for Stinger Solutions. And if you happen to be a dealer in Canada, well, know that your destination for Stinger products will be Auto Mobility. They are one of the distributors for Stinger in Canada. Now, my takeaway, Stinger has a lot of brands and more recently some expansions, some acquisitions, but make no mistake, if you are serious about delivering premium sound or lighting, for that matter, to your customers, take a closer look at the sticker lineup again, because these guys have it covered. Whether it's a good, better, best scenario you're looking for, whether it's solutions in both lighting or even in any type of switching, Stinger has the right part for you. For me, Stinger's always been a go-to. They continue to prove time and time again that they don't sit on their feet. They always innovate. And you know what? When it comes to the packaging, it's hard to beat. Looks pretty sexy as well. That's it for the CMA Connected, brought to you by Sirius XM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.